but it's usually not a problem. I'm trying to push a lot.
I'll share the stream.
Oh, we're live. What is up, YouTube and all my fish keeping friends? How's everybody doing out there in Fish Tank Land? This is Joseph Hardin from JH Aquatics, and today I have a special guest. I have Mark from Mark's Shrimp Tanks today. It's going to be really cool. Obviously, we're going to be talking about shrimp. I'm just going to give it a minute and let everybody roll up into the chat. Hope everybody is enjoying their Sunday. I was a little flustered to get ready, so I just need to relax and just get comfortable here and check out the chat. Let's see who's in the chat real quick. Candy Overhauls, how are you? Good to see you here. Sunshine Aquatics. First in the chat, we had Stephen Law, Cooper's Cichlids, and Reels Tanks. Very cool. Well, let's see. Daryl Dimmer, how are you? Good to see you here. D from Down the Wormhole. Chris from Multi-Tank Addiction, how are you? Johann Aquatics. All right, so before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and let everybody make their way into the chat. I'm going to share a couple of things with you. I've been getting creative and trying to come up with forms of income just to keep this channel going and be able to go to Aquashella and stuff like that in Dallas. I'm not one to like ask for money, like to ask really Patreon or just like beg for money or want just super chats, just free money. I'm all about like working for my money and being able to offer you a service or a product or something if you're gonna fund me or support me in what I'm doing. So I came up with a bunch of t-shirt ideas. We got a little crazy the last couple of days. About a week ago I went nuts for 3 or 4 days and came up with a bunch of t-shirt designs. And I want to go ahead and share this with you real quick before we go on here with Mark from Mark Shrimp Tanks. Let's see here. I have like 21 different designs right now. It's pretty crazy. I don't have that one. I took that one down because it wasn't a betta fish. I was looking for a betta fish. It looks more like a goldfish. I don't know, so I didn't go with that one. Anyways, so that's my favorite there. Anyways, there's a lot of good little, I don't know, I just had fun with it. I thought maybe there'd be something in there that one of you might like, something fun. Anyways, so besides that, really what's really important to me, for a long time, I'm trying to come up with a little package deal for dried botanicals. I do sell almond leaves and mango leaves, West Indian bay leaf, and different stuff like that to friends of mine. I've been sending out packages to friends of mine that do blackwater aquariums and breed like wild betta fish and killifish and stuff like that. So a few people asked me, make a kit, put together a little package deal, like a starter kit of dried botanicals. So I went ahead and went forward with that, took some nice pictures of it, and I do have a little packet of dried botanicals that you can get from me. It's a mixture of like, there's banana palm frond in there, there's I think I put about 12 West Indian almond leaves in there. I have a nice little crushed mix of dried botanicals so that you can kind of create more of a bed of leaf litter at the bottom, and then you have the larger, like full leaves. I have stems and twigs, like some like burlap from coconut palm frond. Anyways, when you blend these all together, it just makes for a really nice biotope kind of in aquarium, and it definitely will help to lower the the pH over time. It's not something that I don't feel like you're gonna just reduce. You can build up some tannins easy. There's also the tea. I forgot about that. I'm getting a little flustered here. There's the tea. There's a 1/4 ounce of tea in each one of those bags, and you can make a good 8 cups of tea out of each one of those tea bags if you end up just adding the tannins to the aquarium just for color. For me, it's more about dropping the pH. It's not so much about color. So the leaves and the sticks, to me, is more just, I think it's sexy. I think it's blackwater aquariums are beautiful, and it really gets the fish in the mood. It really helps them to want to spawn, especially a lot of South American and Asian fish that live in puddles of water in the middle of nowhere. Shrimp as well, obviously. Shrimp totally, would eat this stuff up, literally. Anyways, so enough with the commercials. Enough with the commercials. But I just want to share that with you guys. That stuff is available. All the links for that are in the description below if you're interested in that. So the dried botanicals are on getgills.com, and all the t-shirts, of course, are Teespring t-shirts. Anyways, so I don't want to waste a lot of time. I want to get into this. I want to hang out with Mark. He's hanging out in the background. I got him waiting on me. And so let me go ahead and transition through this, and we're going to hang out with Mark from Mark's Shrimp Tanks. What is up, Mark? How are you?
Hi, how are you doing?
Doing well. All the way from... you are live. It's working very well. So you're all the way from Norway, right?
Yep. But I'm Scottish, but I live in Norway.
The Scotsman of Norway. The Shrimp Scotsman of Norway.
Yep. Correcto. Cool. How is everyone in the chat today? I can't see. I think I paused the stream.
There's so many awesome people here in the chat. So many cool content creators
everyone. How
and
y'all
just
doing?
Supporters. Got the water box in here. Pamela 54 Punchy, Candy, which is like the #1 mod in the world in the fish keeping niche. She owns it. She's holding it down. Priscilla MK Arts. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen Priscilla. Yeah, Mark. She does a lot of different.
Yeah, she does a lot of cool art stuff. I'm subscribed to her.
She's got some nice shrimp that she's done. The blue bolt. It was a nice one she did of a blue bolt.
I recognize a lot of the people here from my own streams as well.
Very cool. So I got questions. I got all kinds of questions. And I'm going to throw some off the cuff too, just to surprise you, send you some questions. But what really got you into shrimp? You know, there's the famous easy question, which is what got you into shrimp keeping? Specifically shrimp, yeah.
Specifically shrimp was a necessity, probably. A long time ago when I moved to Norway, I lived in a tiny little apartment. It was really, really small. It was basically an attic apartment above someone's garage. You know, so the space was very, very limited. And so I went away and I bought a very small tank. It's one of the tanks I have in here today, actually, the very small one at the back here. Mm-hmm. And I basically was going to get guppies at the shop. I was going to buy them. I didn't even think about shrimp at this time. I was going to buy guppies at the shop. I'd been a fish guy for so long. At that time it was at least 20 plus years. I kept fish. I think I built my first fish tank when I was 12 years old. So I've been doing it for quite a while.
What kind of fish were you? Do you have so you don't have a lot of fish now at this point?
No, I have no fish. No fish at all.
So what were your fish what were you into when you were really keeping fish?
Guppies. I had everything. I had cichlids, guppies, discus, piranhas, pacus, plec. I had a lot of stuff. Lots and lots of stuff. But then when I came to Norway, as I said, I had very limited space. So I went to the store to buy some guppies for this little tank just to have in my apartment. And I saw crystal red shrimp. And I thought, oh, I have to have those. Right, and there's a little bit of a background with me to crystal red shrimp as well. In Scotland, before I came to Norway, I used to breed koi carp as well.
Carp?
You know, so koi carp, yep.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I can hear you.
Koi carp.
Wow.
So my favorite koi carp was kohakus. You know the red and the white ones, kohakus?
Kohaku, but is that like orange or red on the top?
Yeah, you get different ones. You have like I think it's Dohatsu or something, the one with the red and the top of the white body, and then you get the kohaku ones. It's like it's basically like the crystal red shrimp where they have the red stripes in the body.
Okay.
It looks so cool, and it's such a good thing to have in an aquarium environment because there's such a big contrast in colors when you look at crystals compared to the background. Right, so this is why I bought them.
Very cool.
This is why I bought these crystals, so, you know, like 10 plus years ago. And so I actually got into shrimp keeping out of necessity, actually. But I had kept cherry shrimp before in Scotland a long, long time ago. And I think my first ever shrimp was when I was roughly in my 20s. So that was like 24, 25 years ago, my first shrimp. And it was just a little shrimp that I collected from the sea myself, and I had a little aquarium in my home in
So
Scotland.
you don't keep any shrimp in any? That was one of my questions that I had on here. You don't keep any shrimp. I'm sorry. You don't keep any fish at all with any of your shrimp tanks. You don't. Is there any fish that you'd recommend as like really a tank mate?
No, I wouldn't recommend anything at all. Saying that though, if you have bigger shrimp like Amano shrimp and bigger like vampire shrimp, crayfish, stuff like that, you could probably keep a lot of fish with in a community tank, as an example, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I guess if you're breeding though too, that kind of changes everything.
I mean, everybody has different opinions about this. I don't think personally it's right, especially if you're breeding for maximum amount of baby shrimp. You shouldn't put fish in the tank because the fish will eat them, for sure they will.
Yeah, I do have. I have one fish at this point. I have one fish at this point that I think I might get away with it, because it's this nano. It's a nano blue tetra. It's a tiny little fish. Like I literally have to feed it like powdered fish food to the adults and baby brine shrimp to the adults still.
Yeah.
That's the size food that they prefer, and I feed it to the babies too. Anyways, but I could definitely put shrimp together with those, I'm sure, because they would never even. I don't.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, would you put that type?
Once they get a taste, though, you know, sometimes once a fish gets a taste for it, it's all over.
Yeah. And would you put that type of fish in with an expensive shrimp?
No, if that's a different story too, right? Maybe some. I mean, I have guppies and red cherry shrimp mixed in a aquascape tank that's more like a Dutch style aquascape, and that's different, right? They might pick off one or two here or there, maybe, but they're not. That's a different story. No, not with my blue bolts. I'm not gonna keep. No.
Yeah, it totally depends on your goals as well with shrimp keeping, what you want to get from it. You know, if you want to breed lots and lots of expensive shrimp, you definitely don't want to put fish in the tank.
Now, do you start with RODI water for your aquariums?
When I first started shrimp keeping?
When it comes to, in your shrimp room now, do you do RODI?
Oh yes, I use just RO water. I used to use the DI part of it, but it discolors so fast for me, the DI part of it, that I just stopped using it. You know, the DI resin?
Yeah, and it starts to turn, yeah.
Yeah, it starts to turn for me. So the difference for me with the DI added to my reverse osmosis unit was something like 3 parts per million. That was the difference it was making. So I just took it off. You know, just removed it, and the cartridge that I replaced it with, I just filled it with more activated carbon. So I have two layers of activated carbon before my pre-filter and before the RO membrane. So you know, everybody's meant to do this. You're meant to change the RO, the activated carbon, out every 3-4 months.
Yeah.
I always forget to do it. This is why I put 2 in, so I could remove one, there's still one there, and then put another one in.
Yeah, I do. That's how I'm kind of planning on doing it a little bit backwards, or change my system up a little bit. I've been trying to get rid of the RO completely and just do a series of sediment, carbon, and DI resin, and have to replace the resin regularly. But I mean, I can get like 15 to 20 parts per million with sediment filters, carbon, at least 2 carbon filters. So it's like still like a 6-7 stage setup, but I don't have to do the RO, and then I'm not wasting water, because that's in a place where I live, water's kind of expensive. It's an island. It's not the kind of place to waste water. It seems really wrong to do it, and just to see that water going down the drain. So I've been running it without the RO sometimes, and I still get, you know, between 20 and 25 parts per million with just DI.
That's pretty low. That's pretty low.
That's pretty, for me, that's fine for every, you know, even for my Caridina shrimp.
Do you use do you feel that you have to use a dechlorinator still when you do it that way?
I age the water.
You know, like
I do age the water, and I do have dechlorinators, but depending on how big of a water changes I'm doing and what I'm doing with the water, like if I knew I was about to go do a huge water change, I would probably use dechlorinator. But if I know I'm just doing like 10 or 15, 20% water changes, I don't worry about the dechlorinator. You know where the chlorine is at. But usually I make my water and it sits overnight, so it gets some time to. And I keep a pump running on it. I don't just let it sit in a barrel. It's always circulating in the barrel. And like I said, if I was worried about it, I put a little splash. If I was doing some major water changes, and I was worried about shocking them or harming them, or fry when I'm working with fry or a tank that has a lot of baby, because I noticed that it's the babies that really can't take it. I've shocked some tanks of Caridina shrimp before, and a lot of times the parents will survive, but you'll know that you did something wrong because you'll see like you're gonna see a lot of dead little baby shrimp. All curled up in the bottom in the rocks, and you know that you just shocked something, and you can see the shrimp running around like crazy. You know when shrimp aren't happy.
Especially with the Caridina species as well, they are very easily shocked.
Yeah.
You know, especially the young.
Yeah, definitely. I did that with, of all things, believe it or not, I did it with catappa leaves with blue bolts. I put 5 catappa leaves in the tank at once. They had been boiled a little bit, pulled some of the tannins out, but the pH change from those leaves is that quickly, like overnight. It shocked, and the next day there was all kinds of little babies, just because I should have put like maybe a leaf, added another leaf each day, and built it up slowly.
I pre-soak my leaves before I put them in the tanks. I leave them in a bucket of water for a couple of days first. Before it's the same thing. Like if you're going on holiday, for example, you do it the same way. You put leaves in a bucket of water, and you add some bacterial powder, whatever it is you want to use, bacteria E, whatever, and the leaves get so slimy after a few days. They are awesome for holiday food. You know, like if you go away for a week or two.
Yeah.
You take the leaves, put a couple of them in the tank, and that the shrimp will be good for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Most of my tanks are just. My tanks are loaded because I could go outside and I can walk down the street. I can go on a little hike in the woods and come back with a black garbage bag full of almond leaves. You know, and I use.
Where you live as well.
I collect them from I harvest it all from the wild and from friends' properties and stuff. I have one friend, his property is actually legally a farm, so I've been able to do it through him with the USDA and make sure that everything's legal, that everything has to be like sterilized. All my botanicals have to go through a deep freeze or be heat sterilized, either cold or heat sterilized for 24 hours or something like that.
I didn't know it was so strict.
Well, you don't want to bring bugs. You don't want to send bugs in and stuff like that. So there's some of that. You just got to make sure that you have all the certificates.
I'm probably very lucky that way here. When I collect my leaves, it's already really, really cold here. You know, it's like -10, -15, -20. So
that's what I was wondering though. Is there anything that you what do you typically use to buffer your shrimp tanks?
What I use salty bee shrimp. GH+, but there is a little bit of confusion with salty bee shrimp because there's 2 types. There's 2 different separate brands, and it confuses a lot of people. I get confused with it as well, because the 2 separate brands are made by 2 different companies, but they were made by the same person.
Okay.
So one guy used to work for salty bee shrimp GH+, and then he broke away from them and he went to work on his own thing. This is where you see the blue tubs instead of the white ones now. The new ones are the blue ones.
Well, and a lot of the places where they get some of those foods, the bases for the foods, it's the same facility that they're buying from.
Yes, I used to see this a lot. I have worked in a lot of different food manufacturing places in Scotland, meat places, whole grain places. And what they used to do was they would repackage stuff. It was the same thing in different packets, and it used to really amaze me, right? Because a good example of this was oats. If any of you guys eat oats, right? There's lots and lots of different types. In Scotland, there was the Scots oats. There's Quaker oats. There was what's the other brand? Scotch porridge oats, right? There's like 3 or 4 different types, right? And I used to work in the factory that made all this stuff, right? And when you went into the store, to have a look at all these brands.
Yeah, yeah.
It was the same stuff in all the packets, different
Wow.
packages, at different prices.
Yeah,
It's all the same thing.
when I was in Chicago or New Jersey this year, and I don't even know if I usually have food laying all over the place, but I guess I cleaned up a little bit. Anyways, there was this young gentleman. I'm gonna show his products just for the fun of it because he was really nice. I'm not, you know, he's not sponsored by him or anything, but he's just a really cool kid. He's coming up with his own products. But he was showing me. He sent me, or he gave me all these different shrimp foods, just powdered fish foods, which is something I really enjoy powders over pellets. I just feel like, especially when you have a tank with a lot of babies in it, you just scatter that stuff around and get it to the bottom. He's got these really cool rings he makes too. Anyways, I'm getting a little off track, but the thing was is his food comes from the same place that Fish King, Dinnerlay's food comes from.
Oh yeah, Shrimp King.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but they get their bases, the powders, the bases, the meals and stuff like that. They get it from the same place. So it's basically like it's Dinnerlay food, but you know it's not. It's the same exact thing. It's just a different label. So he was showing me all these different products. Anyways, he gave me a bunch of stuff. But one cool thing that he did give me out of like a bag of goodies was it's got a little suction cup and it's a little ring. And I don't know if you've seen it before, but you put it up at the top of the tank, and then you can feed the powder into that ring. You put it right above the surface a little bit, so you pour the powder into that ring, and then you can mix it there so that the powder all goes into the water column and down to the bottom rather than just floating around on the surface. You know, if you pour powder in, half of it's going to want to float on the surface unless you get in there and mix it up. So this ring is really cool. If it's the right height with the water temperature, the water level, you can just, I don't know. It's pretty cool. I thought that was a cool little thing. He's got like a 3D printer, and he makes all these different little...
Yeah, it's something I'll have to get as well, I think.
He gave me some 3D printed spoons for sticking into the little bags of powdered fish food and stuff or whatever, just to like measure out little sprinkles of food. Anyways,
very cool.
I got to show all that stuff. I was going to do a video on just all the different fish, the shrimp food specifically that I use.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's see. I should be looking in the chat. Guava leaves. I do not use guava leaves. Candy was asking. They are around here, but it's much easier for me to find almond leaves. Like I can literally go. There's a tree right outside my house, and I don't know. I've got one tank. Well, I've got 2 tanks right now. They're just all leaf litter, and I've got 2 more that I've set up that are getting just all leaf litter at the bottom, and those are going to be for shrimp. I want to just test out like my blue bolts and a tank of leaf litter, and use the leaf litter to buffer the. There were not going to be any substrate in the tank to buffer the pH or anything like that. I'm trying to see if I can get that pH down with just leaf litter and make them comfortable. I know that the babies would love it. Anyways, so what do you use for leaf litter, things like that in your tanks? You get stuff locally?
Yeah, I get everything locally here.
You just use local trees.
Oak leaves, apple leaves. I do use almond leaves, but they're ones from my own. I have a little tree in my living room. In the winter, it tends to drop some of its leaves, so I take the leaves from it, put them in the tanks as well. Alder cones I also use here. I actually use the bark and the leaves from the alder cones, the alder tree as well. They're quite good for a shrimp tank. The other things I would use for, like what you use as botanical type stuff, is cinnamon bark. Although you have to be careful with it, you have to boil it.
Yeah.
What else is there? I have the much bigger black alder cones as well. I don't know if you've seen them before. They're like this size, big ones.
No.
It's just a different species of tree. It's the same type. It's just a slightly different species of tree.
I'm just lucky that I have the almond leaves because they out of all the different leaves, the almond leaf, when they've done tests and research on it, the almond leaf lowers the pH more than any other leaf that is kind of on the market.
The almond leaf is my favorite, but it's the only reason I use the other ones is just because they are local to me.
Right, which is awesome too. It's nice to have something.
I have noticed
Go ahead.
I have noticed that the shrimp do prefer the almond leaf over most of the leaves I've used as well. It seems to be like the perfect rate that it breaks down for the shrimp.
Very
You know,
cool.
even, oh, the one I meant to try as well. I don't know if you've ever tried this. Is bamboo type leaves,
Oh yeah, I get, yep, bamboo.
longer
If
thin ones.
you
Because
get a nice
every
little
single
bamboo
video,
forest, it's
yeah,
all leaves at the bottom. You can collect them
yeah,
easy. Yeah,
every single biotope video I've seen of shrimp in the wild, the bottom is absolutely covered in this type of leaf, bamboo type leaves.
that's what I do with banana. I take the
Box.
banana palm and I strip the
Yeah,
banana palm frond down, and it's just, it's pretty much the same kind of deal. And they, once that softens up and it gets to a nice consistency, when it starts to break down with some other bacteria in the water, um, they'll just devour it. It takes a minute for them to be comfortable with it. I think almond leaves are the same way. The leaf kind of has to
yeah.
soften up a little bit, and then they just chow it down, and it's gone in a day or two.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the same.
I'm
Whenever I've gotten banana leaves, it's the same. I think it tends to have a little bit of a. I'm not. It's not like it's dangerous, but I think the banana leaf has like a slight waxy film on it that takes a little time to like dissolve or degrade.
yeah.
You notice that as well? Yeah.
I
But
get
my
them
shrimp
nice
love it.
and dry. Once
I
they're
have
nice
them
and
here as
cured,
well.
I usually let the leaves, when I collect leaves, I usually collect them after they're already been dried on the tree. And to me, that makes a real big difference um, on how they react in the tank if they've been dried and like they fall off the tree dry, especially with the
Yeah.
almonds. So what is your favorite shrimp? I guess,
Absolute
Caridina.
favorite is, I would have to say
That
blue
you,
bolts. I think.
but I mean that you're, yeah, it's technically that you're keeping right now is blue bolts.
Yeah, the ones I have are blue bolts. Yes, they're kind of mixed. Blue steels, blue bolts. They have different grades of blue bolt in there as well. But
Nice.
I like all of the shadow panda type stuff as well. You know, like the Missouri pandas and all this kind of stuff. I love all that stuff.
Yeah, I know blue bolts. I've definitely since the first time I saw blue bolts in competition at the Aquatic Experience, I was done for it. I was like, yes, I wanted them. I wanted them. I wanted them. And the same thing with like the shadow pandas and stuff like that. And I have so many questions on that. But first off, like besides that, like is there a shrimp that you don't have now that you really want? Like, what's on the top of your list for a shrimp
Uh,
that you would like to have to keep or breed?
you know what I really like is have you ever seen the fancy crystal? It's it's a Thai bee basically, a tiger bee cross, and they are more or less like white stripe, red stripe, white stripe, red stripe, all the way along the body. They look so
So
cool.
it's more of a, it's like a Thai bee.
Thai bee, yes.
Yeah. So okay, when it comes to the blue bolts, that's okay. We'll just get into the blue bolts because I have a lot of questions for you about them. Just because I'm keeping them and I'm seeing all the things that they're throwing, and that's what's getting me curious. Just so what exactly I have, for sure. So a Thai, okay, no, a blue bolt is gonna be a golden bee mixed with like a shadow
Tiger.
panda, like a blue shadow panda or tiger.
It will have
Well,
originally been mixed with a tiger, but which one? Nobody knows.
oh, definitely a tiger. Okay, because there was this guy from Japan that I was asking about, some different ideas that I had with breeding, and I was asking him what would happen if I did mix the yellow King Kong, tried to breed the yellow King Kong with the blue bolt, and he
Yeah,
said I would end up with a tiger. He said he's done it
yeah,
before.
if he said mixing the golden with the panda, he's technically still correct as well because the panda is a Taiwan bee. It's a tiger bee as well. It's the same, kind of the same thing. Taiwan bees are tiger bees.
Right, you're going to the mix of the two.
I think
And when
it was, yeah, it was Danerla that did they actually did genetic sequencing to see what it came from, which species made the two, and they said it was tigers and bee shrimp. So
So that would explain, yeah, this guy was telling me I would end up with some kind of a yellow tiger if I mixed blue bolt and
yeah,
yellow King
you know, I
Kong
was just
together.
thinking about that as well. We always consider like crystals to be I'm just thinking about this because you were talking about the golden bees there. We always consider the crystals to be like the two main ones, like the crystal reds and the crystal blacks. But there's also like a third one as well, the crystal white. I don't know if you've ever seen them before.
But that's white, still that's coming from a crystal black. A crystal black would throw that.
No, there's three come from a bee shrimp. Just your genetic bee shrimp. Hold on, let me see.
But a blue bolt is technically a Michelin.
Yeah, I'm talking about the aquarium bred stuff. If you go to wild crystal blacks, yes, that is where the crystal white comes from.
Okay.
Yes.
And a blue bolt is technically a Michelin, right?
Yeah, they all are. All of them are. All the Taiwan bees and pintos are all technically Michelins.
Okay.
Because they are crossbreeds.
This is all pretty new to me. I mean, some of it is. It's definitely. It's forced me to learn about it. That's the whole idea of the hobby too. To me, you know, I love life science and getting into this stuff, and breeding is definitely fun too. It's awesome. This is fun, and I could see how you went from koi to
this.
Yeah, to shadow pandas, because I mean it's kind of, especially, yeah, it's really similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you need less space too. You can have. I mean, we all know what it takes to do a breeding program of anything, and you're looking at 10, 12, 20 tanks just for one species, just for one breeding project that you could be working. Like if you really wanted to go hardcore, you're gonna have a corner of your fish room is gonna be just for that breeding project, and it would be, you know, still that'd be a rack of like 20 10-gallons or something.
Yeah. You have that thing with shrimp as well, though, where have all these different variations of shrimp coming from the same parents. So the little things like this that kind of they don't like. It's not like the end of the world, or I'm not heartbroken or anything like that. But it is. I wish I had a bigger house, so I could have more tanks, so I can breed all these specific things that I want. You know, because there's only so much you can do with the amount of tanks I have. I think I have like 12 or 13 tanks, something like that. There's only so much you can do with them. You know, every tank I have now is split up into different types of shrimp, but there's so many subtypes of shrimp in the same tank. You know, when I'd rather have those subtypes in their own tanks.
Right.
You know, just like we were talking about over the blue bullets, how you have the blue steels. I wish I had like a different tank for them. Blue bullets one tank, and then there's different variations like the Missouri blue bullets. I wish I had another tank for them.
Right, and I'm starting to see that I might I'm realizing now that I have to be a little careful on how I'm culling out for like a deep blue bolt, because I think if I go too hard on that, I'd probably take me a lot of work to go too hard on it. But you could end up with the Missouri from that, right? If you were to just keep taking the darker blue bolts, or the, you know, with the darker head, you could probably end up getting into some into some of that where you have some big
but the
dark
Missouri
patches.
part of it is something that's been bred into it. Like it's the same thing as with the crystals. You know, it's basically a grading. You know, in crystals, how you have the S grade all the way up to the SS grade,
right?
And then you have it's the same thing with the blue bolts and the Missouri. And the Missouri is just like a grade below. It's actually a lower grade than the blue bolt. Technically, the blue bolt would be the top, and the Missouri would be slightly under it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'd have the Hinamura, the pandas, below the blue bolt. You know, I don't know. There's lots and lots of posters and stuff online for this kind of stuff. That's what makes it much easier, by the way. If you look at some kind of poster, it makes everything seem to fit.
Yeah, but you still do end up with something when you're breeding something like a blue bolt. You do have to start watching what you're doing, because you've got a lot of things that start to come from it. One thing though, I mean, would you agree that when it comes to Neocaridina shrimp or Caridina shrimp, would you think it's easier to selectively breed and to breed? Do you think Caridina shrimp breed more true than Neo-Caridina
Yes,
shrimp, I guess is what I'm asking.
Yes, the Neo-Caridina are a lot of work. They are so much work compared to Caridina. You know, because you have to. There's so much more culling involved. You know, you can buy 20 shrimp from a shop. You can breed them all in this one tank. If it's a Neo-Caridina, if you don't take out the culls, it makes the whole batch worse and worse and worse. The patterns get worse, and it's not the same with Caridina. It doesn't seem to be the same anyway. Like most of the time, like Taiwan bees and stuff, they will produce young that looks exactly the same as the parents most of the time.
And that was going to be my next question. Out of the two now, when you start thinking about Caridina shrimp, and you've got more of your tigers, do you think that tigers breed are more difficult to kind of keep clean than, say, like an orange bee or a crystal shrimp, like a crystal? Do you think
tigers are
you gonna? Do you think tigers are gonna go revert back to that kind of that wild genetics?
Yeah, they already do actually. I mean, I keep orange eye blue tigers. I have the higher grade as well, the royal blue tigers. But when they breed, they don't breed true.
Okay.
So you get like 50% of the young will be quite bland. They'll look like little clear tigers with orange eyes. Still quite nice. They're called blonde tigers, right? And then it's like they don't breed true, but some of them take a little while to color up properly as well. The tigers, you know, it's not like the crystals. Taiwan bees, when they're born, you could actually see the color, what they're going to be straight away. Tigers is a little bit different. If anything as well, I would say tigers are like, it depends on which type they are, on how hard they are to keep. Tangerine tigers for me are super easy to keep.
Yeah.
You know, I can keep them on sand and active soil, and I've done it on both before, and they breed, to me, they breed easier than cherry shrimp. Tangerine tigers. In this tank here, I've taken out about 600 tangerine tigers from this tank. This one.
And it's still, what's the pH?
And they still keep on producing more and more. Like, God, give me a break.
What's the pH? Is it about the same in all the tanks? Your pH?
No,
Uh-oh. Did I lose you on your side? Are you choppy? Or is it on my side? All I know is that he just froze up on me. Well, that was nice because I wasn't having to talk. I was listening and learning something about shrimp. Letting him do all the work. Oh boy. Uh-oh. Maybe I have to have him call me back. Maybe he can go out of the chat and call me back. Because I don't know that if he can... Maybe he'll come back. Anyways, how's everybody doing? I'm gonna go ahead and improv here. How are we doing? What's up? I'm gonna try to get him back on here. We'll see what happens with this. We'll see what happens with this teleconference. I don't know, for some reason it went away. He left out of it, so maybe he'll try to come back again. I think we'll be fine on that. So just give it a minute and let him try to call me back. I think that was his signal on his side. Anyways, let's say hi to everybody in the chat real quick. Jesse from HC Aqua, how are you? Good to see you here. Sorry I wasn't talking a lot, but I'm just sitting there getting some good information and learning. Hopefully you guys were learning some stuff as well. You know, I've been really infatuated with these with Caridina shrimp, and I just like the way that they breed, and I just like, especially when it comes to things like the blue bolts, I like all the different colors that I can get, and are you seeing two of me? Anyways, oh no, I fixed that. Anyways, all right. No, it's been fun. You know, these shrimp are forced me to kind of learn something new. You know, that's kind of what the hobby is about. Is, you know, you're always learning something new, and I don't claim to know everything. That is for sure. So that's why I wanted to bring on someone like Mark so that he can go ahead and share his experience and his knowledge in breeding so many awesome different kinds of shrimp. So yeah, I'm working on my blue bolts. I have my yellow King Kongs as well, and they're going crazy. I've been forced to start culling, and that's what really brought me into really understanding all of the genetics between the different lines, so that I can cull properly for, and for the right characteristics and stuff, so that I'm actually keeping a nice clean line. Maybe something that I might be able to show quality one day. I guess that's the dream of anybody who's really trying to breed shrimp, is to breed high grade shrimp. Anyways, let's see. Rack from River Life, how are you? Good to see you here. I hope he calls back, because he should be able to. I might have to send him an invite again. I might try to send him an invite real quick again, and we'll see how that goes. Science Gal Aquatics, how are you? Happy Sunday to you. Happy Sunday to all of you. I hope you guys are enjoying your weekend. Unfortunately, I don't have to go to work tomorrow, so I should make a really awesome video for you guys. Yeah, I just got laid off from my job about 2 weeks ago now, and I'm dealing with it. I have some odd jobs and things like that I'm doing on the side, and that keeps me pretty busy and pays me well. I'm working on a couple other YouTube channels, which is something that came out of nowhere. Somebody on island has seen my YouTube channels through Facebook and stuff like that, and they asked for some help on their YouTube channels. I literally have 3 different YouTube channels all of a sudden that want my help, and I'm not gonna let that affect, my channel comes first, but definitely got to make some money as well. So I'm basically just setting up their channels and getting it going for them, and it's not a big money really, but so thank you for the super chat. Let me see, where is that at? I'm looking at too many different things. I'm trying to send him a new invite to a teleconference so that maybe he can come back. Let's see. That's unfortunate. So I'm still good, right, everybody? You guys just lost him. I don't think that my signal is bad. I think that this, I do have some frames dropped, but I'm looking pretty good. Thank you guys for the super chat. Let me see who was that with the super chat. I don't even see it on the list here. Oh, that must have been a subscriber, actually, not a super chat. I just heard the noises. Anyways, all right, a little flustered there. The Fish Tank Barn, how are you, man? So, and Timothy Savage, what's up? I hope you're doing well. That's a friend of mine through Fish. He has a he lives down in the here in the Virgin Islands. He has a home down in St. Croix, and I've been talking to him about going down there and collecting some local fish from some of the areas around his property and stuff, some cool spots, just to see what I can find. I think they do have some mollies in the wild there, black mollies, wild type, that are they probably were introduced by man at one point, but they're now wild. So I thought that'd be cool to go check those out. Maybe. Claire Hogan, how are you? Robert Forrest, what is up? I'm seeing some new faces in here. It's nice to see some faces that I haven't seen before, to be completely honest. Okay. So, I guess Mark's not going to be able to come back. That's kind of a bummer. I hope he tries. He might be able to come into the chat, though. Water is good. I got 3 different beverages. I got a Monster, I got water, and then I got tea. So, there's I'm just keep grabbing something and drinking it. Let's see. So... I don't want to do commercials. I want to show my t-shirts. Go check them out. I don't want to make my live stream like a commercially thing and throw a bunch of stuff up there. As easy as it all can be through Streamlabs, is throw a bunch of stuff up in your face. But definitely go check out the t-shirts. There might be something cool there that you might like. There's definitely some funny stuff, and I don't know. I had fun putting them together. It was really, really fun. And I do also have my t-shirt if you're into that. And besides that, if you're interested in doing some blackwater aquariums, or you want to work with some different wild type fish and stuff, and you really want to create that natural look, you're trying to reduce the pH of the water and build some tannins, you just want to go for that blackwater look, which is something that I totally adore. I love blackwater aquariums. I love that natural look, especially having seen it in person in Peru. It definitely changed my perspective on fish keeping and keeping nature tanks and biotope tanks. It definitely got me going on that. And so I've always been into blackwater and brackish water aquariums as well, and there's not a lot of information on that out there. That's another thing that I found really difficult, going and searching Yeah, just trying to go on YouTube and places and try to find stuff about blackwater aquariums and stuff about brackish water environments. Everybody wants just a nice, clean, freshwater aquarium so they can aquascape it to death and put a bunch of plants in it. But, you know, you're not going to find that many plants in a blackwater aquarium or a brackish water aquarium. But I think that's also the challenge, to actually create something that's aesthetically pleasing, has a nice aqua, you know, scape going on, a nice scaped tank, but with a just hardscape and leaf litter. Waterbox, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I've been watching your streams lately. I kind of been away from YouTube for a little while, but lately I've been trying to get into some of it. I definitely love your streams. Good quality stuff, well put together. I'm checking out the chat here, see what's going on. A few of my regular people are not here today. I'm very happy to see all of you, but there's a couple people I'm like, not here today, because hopefully everybody's out having a good time. Hope some of the people that are not here today are definitely out enjoying the outdoors with their family, which is where I should be. Took the dog on a little walk today, but I definitely felt like it could have been a longer walk for the dog's sake. Anyways, oh well, I thought he'd come back for a minute. I do still have the teleconference open and ready for him, and I've sent him another email invite. And that's about all I can do there. Anyways, but that was pretty nice to have him on here. He's got a pretty awesome channel. If you guys have not checked it out, I think most of you know who Mark from Mark Shrimp Tanks is. I really like his live streams too. He does a quality live stream. He keeps me laughing too. It's pretty funny. He does he does giveaways regularly. And it's just a lot of cool stuff, a lot of cool shrimp. His orange eye blue tigers, those are pretty cool as well. I don't think I'm going to try to have him send me anything, because that's not going to work out very well. Oh, he's back. I think he's back. He's back. Are you back?
I'm back, but it says I'm using the wrong audio.
Nope, it sounds fine for me.
Okay, good.
Let me go ahead and send it back for everybody. Yeah! Alright, I was thinking it was me. Being in the islands, I've had the worst luck with internet. I waited a long time to start streaming on YouTube, because I wanted to do it right, and I knew I didn't really have the capabilities to make it clean. I know that's not always the right answer, is to like wait until you have all the right things to do something. But when it came to streaming, I held back for like a whole year. Daryl Dimmer, thank you so much for this $10 super chat. I really do appreciate it. But in the end, I don't know what I was getting at. What was I getting at? I don't know. I was trying to hold it together when you were gone. I'm sitting here like, wait a minute, now I got to talk? You were doing all the talking, and I was like sitting back, relaxing, drinking my tea, just listening, enjoying the show. And then you were gone, and I was like, oh, I got to wake up and step up to the plate and put it together here.
Yeah, I mean, I was still talking away for a little while before I noticed I was up.
Oh no.
Yeah, my sound is through the camera here, so I'll hope it's okay for the rest of the stream.
Oh no, it's clean. It's really, really clean. That's the one thing I like about doing the teleconference in high definition. It's really, really clean. Good. It looks good. Yeah.
Yeah, it was my internet connection that was lost for about a couple of minutes, I think. So.
But thank you again, Waterbox, for the $5 super chat, and Daryl Dimmer for the $10 super chat. I really do appreciate it. Let's see. So you do have a website. I was checking that out. You have a website you have some of your shrimp, and you have some shrimp foods. The shrimp foods looked really cool. Yeah. Can you tell us about that?
No, it's a secret.
It's a secret.
No, the way I like to do it with my shrimp foods is I'm very transparent with what I put in them. So people, if they feel like they want to make it themselves, they can as well. But I understand people can't always make all their own foods. You know, it's like, so having a package already pre-made is a good thing for them too. And all my stuff is organic. I basically search for things to go in my food. I see what is the best thing for the shrimp. I buy it and then I make my own food. It's the way I've done it for a long time.
Yeah.
What else is there? I don't know. I'm lost for words.
Oh no, just on your site you have the food. You do have some of your livestock available as well.
Yeah, at this time of the year, it's all unavailable. Unfortunately, it's just too cold
Yeah.
here to ship in
That's
the
where I'm
winter.
at.
It's
Yeah.
the same with the plants as well.
I wish I could sell my shrimp right now, but it's just not realistic and it's not safe for the shrimp.
Yeah,
I don't want to do that to anybody.
I was thinking about this all over the winter as well. How I'm going to move away from using heat packs because I don't think they're too reliable.
No.
I think I briefly spoke to you this.
They're perfect in my situation though.
Yeah.
Because it's so warm here. It's perfect for, so someone could send something to me in the Caribbean right now and be totally fine. From the United States where it's cold, because you could package it in a warm building, use some heat packs, put it all together, send it out the door. By the time it gets to Florida or Puerto Rico, the heat pack's gonna wear off. Like you're saying, they are not that reliable, and it's gonna wear off, especially if you get past a certain amount of days, like what 2.5, 3 days. It's gonna start to wear off, and then. But that's perfect for me because by then it's in the Caribbean where it's warm and I don't want to cook my fish. So like it's just perfect time delayed little it works out. But for anybody else, no. Yeah, I do agree that heat packs are not that reliable. But they are lifesavers still. I mean, you kind of there's this time and place for them for sure.
You know, I think I need to test the ones I have as well out a little bit more thoroughly. You know, because it would be quite easy for me to test them here. You know, just put a temperature sensor in one of the insulated boxes with a heat pack in it with a couple of. I could even put the temperature sensor in a bag of water, like it's like the shrimp in there. Just leave it outside, -20, see how it gets on. What I'm interested in though is to see the peaks, to see what the temperature peaks are, because I have a feeling it might be a little bit too hot. You know, for it to last for the ones I use are 72 hours. I think the ones that you get that last longer, I think they might be a little bit unreliable. But I'll have to test it first.
Yeah, and that's part of it too that people have to think about is overheating the package and cooking them, and that's what I have to worry about is someone trying to send me something, and then it gets here. Like I got shipped fish that were shipped from Seattle. And when they got here, the bags were warm because there was a heat pack, but they were almost too warm to me, you know, like they were pushing they're 80, 82 plus degrees. I'm lucky that I can get away with, I have the AC to keep all the other animals in the house happy and whatnot. And, it's a window AC unit, but I'm keeping a temperature of and my tanks of about 75, 76 degrees.
Yeah,
which is really nice, and it works well with the Caridina shrimp. So Caridina shrimp, some things that are different between Caridina shrimp and Neo-Caridina shrimp, I think are important for people to remember. Let me know if I'm wrong. Or Caridina shrimp actually prefer a little bit cooler temperature than Neo-Caridina shrimp.
Yes,
and
the golden number is meant to be 22 degrees Celsius. I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit though. Is that like 70, 71, 72 Fahrenheit, maybe?
Okay. And
something
then
like that. Because where these shrimp originally came from is like mountain hills up behind Hong Kong. This is where like the original crystal black came from, and it's not warm up there. You know, it's like when I did some research on this before, the average temperature was only 16 degrees Celsius. So it's, you know, going from they are more like I would say more like a goldfish, where they're slightly subtropical.
Yeah.
You know, I think they fall into that same category. But here, in my shrimp room, I have the temperature set to 22 degrees Celsius all the time. I have a fan and a heater here that has a electric thermostat on it, and I have AC as well, same as you.
So when it comes to Caridina shrimp as well, they it takes them longer for them to molt as well, right?
Slightly longer, yes.
It's like what, 4 or 5 days?
Yeah.
So it's what's the
Slightly
difference
longer.
between like 28 days and 31 or
Yeah,
32?
all it is to do with the heat as well. I notice a big difference with tiger shrimp as well. They seem to take a week longer than normal crystals.
Do you think also, have you noticed a difference with the total dissolved solids or like the actual, the hardness of the water compared to, have you noticed it taking longer for shrimp
No, not that way.
to molt because of the hardness of the water?
No, not that. I haven't noticed that way, but
we were talking about the activity that I think you try to do, that I've been on it too in my head, is doing water changes kind of once every month almost on a shrimp tank.
Yeah, trying to spread them out more and more and more.
And
Yes.
kind of a cycle with their molting, so when you do
Yes.
that water change, you do a water change and probably the next day you might have 4 or 5 of the biggest adult shrimp all molt that next day or something.
Yes.
And the other thing too, I guess, is important to the water temperature is. I'm trying to figure out what the water temperature isn't. The temperature can affect how long it takes for them to molt. Right?
Yeah.
If it's colder, the warmer the water temperature, the faster they're gonna molt.
They're going to molt, yes. It's the same with the eggs as well. The faster the eggs will develop if the water is warmer.
So the thing is too. So if you're working with Caridina shrimp, I've heard that you have to be careful of this. And I always get myself confused on this. But if the water temperature is too cold, you could have a female shrimp that is going to have to pass her shrimplets. She'll lose her babies basically because she's going to
Yes.
have to.
I swear as well, I've seen shrimp that have been hanging for what seems like 4 weeks, a female shrimp, and they'll just hang there and they'll be fanning away at their eggs.
Right.
And you know what? It's like what you're saying is I'm pretty sure the length of time for the eggs to develop and drop is the same as for the adults to molt.
Okay.
It's the same thing. Does that make sense?
Right. So you've actually, I've seen you talk about before waiting to do a water change because you wanted to let the female develop more.
I've had females die. I've had them die like the next day after I've done water changes before, right? So that it's one of the things you've got to watch for in your tank. If you have a big buried female, and if she's acting like she might let go the eggs, because typically they will go and hide somewhere or go upside down in a plant, and just gently you see their underside like this, they will fan away.
Right.
And this is them getting ready to release the babies. And this is when I avoid water changes altogether. It's especially important as well that if you see a shrimp that has just molted, don't do a water change either. Because 9 times out of 10, the shrimp will be dead the next day as well. Same thing.
Just because their shell is still too soft, they're still delicate.
Yes. I think a lot of it's to do with stress with shrimp as well. I've seen shrimp that look completely different because of stress during molting. You know, when before I used to do like much bigger water changes, like 50%. Long time ago, I used to do 50% water changes, and I would see fully grown adult females dead the next day. Any babies I had seen previously would just vanish.
Yeah.
Just disappear.
Now you were talking about the white ring that you can get sometimes with shrimp after they molt. There'll be that white ring that you start to see on a lot of that. You see it on a lot of them. I was told from one person though that it was more of a calcium deficiency.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I've done this all through trial and error. All my stuff is basically everything I've done is all through trial and error. Years and years and years I've spent doing different sizes of water changes. 50%, 25%, 30%, getting smaller and smaller and smaller. As they get smaller, the ring of death disappears.
Yeah.
So it's for sure it's the water changes. For sure it is.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. I feel like there's minerals in the water that the shrimp need, and probably helps them with development of their shell. I just feel like when you water down the water too much, like I think you agree with me that there should be a certain level of TDS, and it just has to be the right things. Like we were also talking about this before, which I've said it, and a lot of people are preaching it. Is there's no point in using a TDS meter if you don't know if you're not starting with RODI water, if you don't know what's in your water, you don't know what you're working with. But when it comes to shrimp, I feel like there should be a certain level of dissolved solids in the water, not just pure clean water, because I feel like just like a snail, if you have a snail in an aquarium that has you're just pumping a bunch of RODI water in it and you're not remineralizing with any calcium or magnesium or iron or anything like that, you'll see it'll just dissolve the shell. The tip of the snail shell will start to just break down. I feel like it's kind of the same thing. You got to leave some of those minerals in the water column. It makes the water healthier for the shrimp.
Yeah, exactly what you're talking about right now. Is I'm actually experimenting a little bit with bicarbonate soda. We talked a little bit about this before, with raising the pH, raising the alkalinity in my tanks, just to see what happens to the pitted shells of all the different types of snails I have.
Mm-hmm.
To see if it improves the shell. Yeah. Because it should, because you're taking away the acid out of the water. I'm only doing this in my Caridina tanks, though. That is the only thing.
I have assassin snails that I literally have been doing well with them. They breed, and that's when I know that the tank is good, honestly, when I can see that the snail's shells are not really breaking down from the lack of calcium. That's like when I know that I have the right amount. I have it's a lower TDS, but it's still TDS. Like, I think my TDS is more than, usually stays over 200 once I remineralize. But I'm starting with RODI water, so when I remineralize, I know what I'm adding. I think it's just really important to know what you're putting in there.
Yeah, because anything else, like if you're using tap water, you're basically guessing. Like if you have depths in the tank.
Oh yeah, and I'm starting with 300 parts per million out of my tap water, and who knows what it is? Who knows what that is? Yeah, especially with city water. And here in the Caribbean, it's even worse.
Yeah.
Let's see. I had some questions about the yellow King Kongs too, just real quick. So, what would you call a yellow King Kong that has a clear center? Some people have called them a yellow really, and I've had other people call them a yellow skeleton.
Yeah, the skeleton is the correct term, I think.
Skeleton? Okay,
yeah,
I guess so.
They have a clear patch on the side of the body, or it can be
a full band. Yeah, that's how mine are. My yellow King Kongs, they're throwing some. They got 3 different kinds. You've got a yellow head and a clear tail, a yellow tail, clear head, or you've got the really kind of pattern. You've got that.
With this kind of thing, it just depends what's in fashion, basically, in the shrimp keeping world. Before, these used to be just classed as culls.
Right. So exactly. That to me, that's just culls from my yellow King Kong tank. But everybody's like, someone said they cost more money, but it's all about, like you said, it's a fashion thing. If you make them more popular now, someone was telling me at one point they're pricing them, and they said the yellow King Kongs are 10. And yellow skeletons are 15, and I'm like, oh, my coals are 15 or more money. That's great. Yeah.
But they do look kind of cool when they have, they had a saddle, or if they're buried or something like that. The skeletons do look pretty cool.
But you would still need to take that, and probably you'd have to breed that over like 3 times, like 3 plus generations to try to get something that would breed true, probably, and that's not going to breed.
I actually noticed when I'm doing it with my own shrimp that you tend to only have to take the trait out once or twice, and then it's gone.
And that's with Caridina shrimp, not so much Neos, right?
Because in my Caridina, I notice it's quite common for types of pandas to have like an extra little dot on the back of the head. It's like a little smudge.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you're looking at a shrimp and you're wanting it to be like perfect. You want to take away that little smudge. That's what you do. You take away the breeding adults, all of the ones that have that smudge, and then the next ones hopefully won't have this much, and then you have to take them away again, the ones that do.
Right.
You just have to rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat.
Very cool. So I'm over the hour mark pretty much here. I'm just going through, see any other important questions that I was curious to ask you. When it comes to like a shrimp tank, and we are going to be specific to Caridina shrimp right now. When it comes to setting up a beginner tank, what main elements do you think should be in that tank? Would you think to be kind of mandatory elements in the aquarium? And that goes to, go ahead.
For sure, you would need an active substrate. I know you get guys that breed Caridinas without an active substrate, but it just saves you so much hassle. It saves you trying to fix your water parameters to a certain degree of something. Because it will do it for you itself already. As long as you put in the elements that you need, your water, your buffer, your active soil will fix it to the level it wants.
Right.
So there's no messing around. There's no like trying to
chase the pH or chase the pH,
like
which is impossible. Yeah.
An absolute nightmare. So that's one of the ones is like an active soil is a big help. Big help. Other ones for Caridina specifically, good filtration. Depends on what type of filter you have in the tank. A really good cycle is really important as well.
And you use mostly sponge filters, right?
Yeah, sponge filters I use power heads on mine just because I like this room being a little bit quieter. Because we have the daughter's bedroom is right above here, and with sponge filters, the room is very noisy. So.
Well, I don't feel so bad for going over because I do have I have free time only because the person that was supposed to go on after me is not streaming this week.
Oh.
So that's nice.
Very good.
Yeah, so I don't feel like I'm not stepping on anybody else's toes,
Good.
by going a little longer. And what would you consider something to be like a starter shrimp? That's Caridina, because right now all I have is Caridina that I've been trying to sell, and I get people that come to me like wanting shrimp, and then they ask me. Then there's all the questions. I don't know. I feel like if I was trying to sell Caridina shrimp, it would be easy because people would just buy the shrimp. When I'm trying to sell Caridina shrimp, people come to me and they've got all these questions because all they hear is that they're really, really hard. And everybody comes to me, they're like, do I need this? Is this going to work? Can I put them in this tank? And I'm just like, it seems like it's more pain to try to sell Caridina shrimp than it is Neos, just because they've got that stigma that they're just so much tougher and they're fragile. And I feel like as long as I have a well-seasoned aquarium and I'm putting the basic elements, I'm really hardcore with leaf litter. I feel like that's the number one way that I cycle a tank is when I start a tank, I throw a whole bunch of leaf litter in it, and all the nitrifying bacteria, all kinds of different microorganisms start to grow on that leaf litter. And that's kind of like one of the ways that I jumpstart a cycle. I can literally I'll take a handful of biodegrading leaf litter out of another tank, and I just grab it. I just grab it, net it up, and drop it in the other tank. And I just basically taking a mud from the river, and, just dropping it in another, and it basically seeds it with a bunch of stuff and starts it off. But I just feel like if you put the right things together, I've had shrimp in conditions that people say that broadly people will say you can't do that with that kind of shrimp, and I don't feel like I feel like it's about, well, like I said before, when it comes to TDS, I feel like it's about what your TDS, what's in that water, and how well cycled it balances the aquarium. Hey, we're not doing that today. We're not doing that. The dog wants to serve and protect. Anyways, let's see. There's a lot of awesome people here in the stream today. It's good to see everybody hanging out on a Sunday. Now, it's Sunday morning for half of these people. Everybody's having coffee on the West Coast. And for you, it's the evening. That's the only way this works, is the fact that it's my afternoon Sunday live stream. at 1
Yeah.
p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because you're working on almost it's 8 o'clock. It's after 8 o'clock for you now at night in Norway. So
It
this
is,
is
yes.
it's really awesome that you take the time to get on here with me, because this is definitely a little bit of a feat to bring someone on from the UK and make it work all the way across to the West Coast, and it not be like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning there for everybody. It's still in bed. So I'm glad that this worked out well, and I'm glad that you could call back. I sent you another link. I'm just so glad that you were able to get back on here for a minute.
It's been a pleasure being on your show. Been a pleasure. I just wish it hadn't cut off though, because I think we missed a little bit of time there. You know.
Definitely. I like all the fun stuff that you're doing on your stream too, though. You've got a lot of.
Thank you very much.
You play. I've been wanting to play around with the little face thing. You kind of having fun with. You do some gaming too sometimes, right? Just for the fun of it. You kind of remind me.
I do, but the gaming one is it is all just for me. I'm going to just be honest. It's just me relaxing, and that is it.
Right, and I think that's how.
You know,
that's how. Well, that should be how any channel is. Just like this for me, like I enjoy doing this. In the end, it's fun, it's enjoyable, and I think that that's what it should be. Period, all across the board. Like being a content creator or having a channel, or you should be doing it because you love it first and just having fun.
Exactly.
And that's what it should be all about in the first place.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that's fun stuff. I'm not much of a gamer, because when it comes to this channel and keeping things going and all my tanks, like I don't have the time to sit down in front of a game long enough to get good at it, and to get good at it enough that I'm gonna play it in front of other people and make a fool out of myself. Like, so hats off to you for having fun with that.
That's why I don't actually stream that much on the gaming channel. I just don't have the time, basically.
I think you were the one that got me going on one game, The Forest.
Yeah, The Forest, yeah.
So I don't play any games, but I was watching you play, and I was like, that looks cool. And I went on, I downloaded it, and I was playing it for a little while, and I was like, I don't have the hours in the day to get to learn to get good enough to learn how to build a fort before the sun goes down. Like, I'm never gonna get this game. I just had to put it away. I'm like, I need to edit a video. I don't have time for this. I need to make a thumbnail. I don't have time to play video games.
That's the life of a YouTuber, though. We feel like for me anyway, I feel like I always have something to do, always. But I enjoy it, though. I wouldn't do this if I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, well, the YouTube side is one thing, but the fish keeping, it's kind of like, to me, it's a lifestyle is the way I look at it.
Yes,
and it's hard to get, especially when you have a significant other, when you gotta, you know, someone you live with, they don't necessarily, you just look like you're excessive compulsive disorders or something.
Yeah. But it's like what we talked about as well with the partners can often be a little bit annoyed when you buy another tank, but if they see the money coming in, if they see some money coming in, it's different.
Yeah, like we were talking about that.
I'm not saying YouTubers make a lot of money, because we don't.
No, if I could show her a check, she'd probably just keep her. She would be like, "Okay, you have fun editing your video." Anyways, yeah. Let's see. Candy Overhauls is being a super awesome moderator. I just really do appreciate everything that she does. She's been throwing up the links to your store on
Candy. It's very nice.
your .com, and also links to your channel and to my Get Gills store with the dried botanicals. What else, is there anything else cool that you got going on your website? Well, I'm going over the mark here. I think I'm going to go to 3:30.
Redoing my main website. I have two websites. I have my shop website, and I have it's like a blog website where I just do blog type posts with articles. It will be getting redone probably in another month or two. I'm going to switch the whole platform.
They're linked together though, right? Because I think I saw one from the other.
Yeah, they are linked together. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. You got some nice articles. You wrote most of those yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
But it is WordPress.com is very limiting, so I'm changing to WordPress.org instead. It's just a platform change, basically. So because I hopefully will be able to add. I mean, I have lots of more content to go on there that I can't put on because of the limitations of the website. So it will be improved in a month, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Very cool. Yeah, I've been paying for my .com since I started my channel. I just went ahead and bought it, but I need to get that going. I had the Get Gillis store and this and that, but there's got to be a point when I have to make the switch over, and yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah, it doesn't happen overnight, all this stuff. I mean, I do mine's. I'm lucky if I do 1 or 2 articles a month or something. On my own, my other website where I have my store, I try and improve it every single day. I go on there and maybe like re-edit a picture, put a better picture on, re-edit a description just a little bit every single day, and the site just gets better and better. So
yeah, no, it looks cool. I was reading some of those articles. I was checking it out yesterday.
It doesn't look too great. That one doesn't look that great, but it will be better in a month or 2.
Very cool. Let's see, what time is it? It's 3:17. I probably should get out of here. My ticker like stopped at 41. I don't know how many people are watching. It says 41. Maybe those are my.
I don't even have that screen on.
41 faithful subscribers or non-subscribers and lurkers, whoever it is.
Lots of them.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So you don't ship shrimp here. Like this would be I mean, I wouldn't want anybody to ship anything to me right now anyways, but
no, I could, even at this time of the year I couldn't do it yet anyway.
No, but you usually you're confined to shipping kind of in Norway, or how far out do you ship?
In the summer I normally do ship into Europe, into the EU, but I'm kind of like not sure if I'm going to do it next year, just because of I've had several issues with customs. Packages waiting for last year I had one package that was stuck in customs for almost a month with shrimp in a box, which isn't acceptable for me. This is where I might cut back to just cutting out customs completely and shipping within Norway. I will lose a lot of money from it, but I'd rather lose money than kill the shrimp.
Yeah, no, definitely, I agree.
And it wasn't just that one thing. There's been quite a lot of things, not so extreme, where I send things like to Sweden or France or something, and again it gets stuck in my customs going to another country, which is ridiculous because Norway isn't within the EU, so they want to check packages for drugs and cigarettes, alcohol, and all this kind of stuff, and it takes them a week to process a package.
Yeah, that's what happened in we were bringing fish back from Peru, and we had a little bit of a problem with some of the fish with that. They just, because the customs department, they're worried, they're thinking about a bunch of others. They don't care about fish. They're not thinking about anything alive in those boxes. They're thinking about drugs and stuff like that. So
I was told this before. If I'm seriously want more shrimp, the best thing I could do is get in the car and drive to another country and pick the stuff up and then drive back, because they won't check the packages for as long. They're not in, like what you said, they're not interested in the shrimp or the fish. They're
gonna check your stuff right then and there and let you drive through, instead of it sitting in a room where it sits in a room in a pile and you're just waiting for them to look at each thing that's in that pile, which is what happened to us. They sat in a room, and people only work an 8-hour shift doing that job, so once they were done at the end of the day, they didn't get to that package. That was another day, and it just turns into another day, and before you know it, all the fish are sitting in ammonia-filled bags, and they're dying and getting gill burns, and it's pretty rough. It's a sad way to go too for a fish. That's not what I want to do. Yeah, so it's the whole thing. It's definitely I give my hats off to people that get involved in actually importing and stuff like that. It definitely it's some work, and you definitely have your occasional losses, which is really the hard part about it.
I can imagine it'd be very stressful doing it all the time.
Yeah, my parents did iguanas when I was a kid. My parents imported iguanas and sold them to pet shops in North America. So we would go down to Mexico, collect them there, quarantine them, usually go after little babies. We never really had any crazy problems. It's not like fish where they're stuck in a bag out of their element, in a way, you know. And so the lizards were a little bit easier, but we still had to go through all the government red tape, and especially, you know, when things like animals, they're looking for goods and drugs, and when you come through the border and you've got a box full of lizards and they're looking at you like, what are you doing? Like, crazy American, what are you doing? They don't get it. They're like, we eat those things. What are you, you're taking our food from us? What are you doing? No, they do. They literally, at one point, we would have arguments with the government where their argument was that we were taking their food from them, that the poor people of Mexico eat iguanas, and that we were taking their food. And it was really weird. They literally, at one point, were trying to make a deal with us, saying, you can have the skins, because they thought we were bringing them back and making like wallets out of them or something. So they're like, you can have the skins, and then we keep the meat. So because I literally like sell iguana meat, I guess, in certain markets. There's like a market for it, so you could, I don't know. And we were like, yeah, that's not gonna work, because, you know, we're selling to the pet shops. So it's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, it's crazy how when you go to these other countries and you're working with the fish. Like, we were in some places collecting fish, and we're in the river, and we come across locals, and they're fishing for the same fish to eat, you know? Like, they're fishing for the adults to eat them, different cichlids and stuff like that. It was crazy. And pacu and stuff like that. We went to one restaurant, and they had pacu on the menu. And yeah, but that's just normal little fish fry thing. Anyways, all right. I probably should get out of here. We're getting close. I'm over like a half an hour. It's so hard for me to say goodbye to everybody, because living on a little island, I don't have much of a community. I don't have fish clubs. I'm sure that I feel like you're kind of in the same situation out in the middle of nowhere. It's not like you have a fish store you can drive to down the street.
For me here, I have the language barrier as well. I don't know if you have that there. Do they speak a different language where you are?
What?
Do they speak a different language where you are as well?
Oh, yeah. We have 3 different... Yeah, we have patois, Creole patois, and people speak French, and yeah, there's lots of different stuff. And Spanish, of course, but there's probably about 4 or 5 different languages spoken here, and different dialects, depending on what island they're from. Yeah.
So, for me here, I live probably about 7 to 10 kilometers from the nearest town, and then these houses are just like sporadic. It's like every 500 meters, every kilometer, there's like one house, and then another house, another kilometer. So that's what it's like here for us. We do talk to our neighbors and things like that, but it's like what you said. My community is online, I think. My shrimp farm. Yeah,
that's what it is for me. I mean, I enjoy the hobby and whatnot, but I have friends that are serious breeders and involved in stuff, and I go to them for a lot of my information and knowledge and stuff like that. But definitely when it comes to, like, if we have a fish club, this is it. Coming to YouTube and hanging out here for a little while is my opportunity to kind of have a little bit of a fish club meeting and chill out. It's nothing like a fish club meeting, but when I move back to the States, I will indulge heavily. It'll be, yeah. But we'll see. We'll get there at that point. You know, that'd be fun. But I tried to start a fish club down here. It didn't go over very well. There's just nobody. I'm the only. Like I said, if somebody gets a sick fish or something, they call me. They call me to come and deal with it, come take it from them, or, you know, expecting me to rescue it just because I keep fish too, or something. I don't know. Anyways, all right. Everybody is leaving the chat. Everybody's tired of listening to me talk.
I can see them all going.
I know everybody's leaving. I know, and my number hasn't changed. I don't know what's going on with my ticker for my my view count ticker on Streamlabs. It's just sitting at 41.
Streamlabs one that is, I don't even put it on anymore. It's just like so. I don't know if it's like broken half the time or.
Yeah, I don't know how it goes because
you know what it is. I think with Streamlabs is when you have these little glitches, you have to log out of Streamlabs and log back in again for it to fix itself.
Yep, I haven't had that. Sometimes I've had it just sit on 0 from the very beginning and never move. It just says 0 the whole time. So, I don't know. Anyways, but thank you so much for taking the time for getting on here with me. This is really awesome. And thank you for sharing all your information about shrimp, Caridina shrimp, and shrimp breeding and keeping and stuff like that. I really do appreciate it. There's probably hundreds of other questions I could ask you, but I guess, you know, everybody will have to come to your channel to check it out and learn learn about that and ask you those questions.
You're very, very welcome. It's been a very enjoyable stream.
Very cool. Thank you guys for everyone out there, all of your support, all of the super chats. Thank you to Candy for everything that you do, and everybody else out there. Pamela, 54 Punchy, yes, Chris from Multi-Tank Addiction. Everybody, I appreciate everything. Daryl Demmer, thank you as well. All right, Mark, thank you so much. You have a wonderful rest of your day, your evening, and remember, guys, keep your tanks clean, your fish fed, and have fun.